welcome back to Live Your Shelf. Today is my husband's birthday, so I want to talk to you about books that my husband has specifically recommended to me. He is not a reader, but he does buy me books a lot for my birthday. So I want to dig into some of those things and talk about like what was a hit for me, what was a miss for me, and then also like how what he got me set me up for other things that I've read. So the first books that I'm going to talk about is a book that he got me for my birthday last year, which is Dance of Thieves. And then there's a second book that came out this year called Vow of Thieves. So Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves is about, so there's two main characters. There's Kazi, who works for like royalty, and then there is a Jace, who is like the king or patriot is what they call him, of his town that doesn't recognize the royalty. Like they have colonies and they're like, no, we're the first colony, fuck you, kind of. And she goes there to find specific things about him and their colony, like to find certain things about them out, and she ends up figuring out that like nothing is what she thought it was, and then they fall in love and they go back and find out that like essentially that city or colony is in a lot of trouble. So Dance of Thieves is about like them kind of falling in love while also figuring out each other. And then Vow of Thieves is about them trying to take back his colony, Jace's colony, and what's rightfully his. And it's a really good book, or a really good duology. It's by Mary E. Pearson. Next set of books is a trilogy. Originally, my husband and I chose this book together. It's called Sleeping Giants because we were going to read it every night together. Full disclosure, that did not work out. My husband's head hits the pillow and then he's out. So I would try to read it and it didn't work. He's always asleep, and then it's about aliens, so then I would have weird dreams. So we stopped reading it to each other and I read all three of them. So it's Sleeping Giants, and then Waking Gods, and then Only Human, by Sylvain Neuvel, which I probably am saying wrong. But essentially it's about a woman who, when she was a girl, she literally fell into the earth, into a giant hand that was made out of a metal that we don't have here on Earth. And then later on, she ends up becoming the person that's working on it, not because of what happened to her, but just because of where her path ended up taking her. So that's kind of what the first one is about. And then in the second and third book, I don't want to give anything away, but it's sci-fi book that has to do with aliens. And the third book doesn't take place on Earth, so it's pretty cool. Another book I read because of him is Iron Widow, because he got it for me, and it is by Xiran Zhao. I probably said that wrong, and I've shown this before, but this is her. She's so cute, in her little cow outfit. So Iron Widow is about a person whose sister was killed by an assassin. Like, the politics of where they're at is that men have high spirit numbers of some sort and women generally don't. So men are pilots, but they can't do anything unless the women are there as essentially their backup. It's supposed to be to become one person, and they pilot these animals essentially in the sky that do a whole bunch of different things. And one of the people killed her sister. So her vow and her goal was to kill that person, and she does it in like the first 100 pages. And so the rest of it is her finding out that she's not the first person to do this. And she ends up falling in love with the next pilot, who also falls in love with her, who also falls in love with someone else, who also is in love with her. So that's really fun because it has like a whole polygamous relationship instead of like a love triangle, which I enjoyed a lot. And it's very action packed. It's really good. It has a lot of political things that are going on today about how like men just society sets up for men to think that they're the best, without recognizing how much they really need women, even though they know that they need women, but they don't let other people know how much they need women. So Iron Widow was a really good book that my husband chose for me as well. And then he also picked up The Forever War by Joe Holdeman, which is about a war that goes on for a really long time, but the main character is there through the whole thing because of like light years and stuff. So even though the war itself was, I think, 244 years, he retired from that war like under 40 years of age, and it follows him through all of these things that he did in order to fight for his planet, and like the aliens that he fought, and there were the relationships that he had, and what that was like throughout that. And that was a really good book as well. Enclave by Anne Maguire is another one, and I read it a while ago, and I don't remember a lot of it, but it was darker, and it's a young adult book, and it is about a group of people essentially that are like, it's very dystopian. They're stuck in a place and they want to get out of that place, but they're scared that when they do get out of that place, they don't know what's waiting for them. So that's also a good book. And Enclave kind of gives me like the same vibes as like the Rebel Prodigy series from Marie Lu, who my husband also got me into by buying Rebel, which is the fourth book of the Rebel Prodigy series, but he didn't know. So I read that one first, actually. But I really like Marie Lu, and I think that I'm going to start reading more of her. Another book that he got that I'm very thankful for is he originally got The First Divergent by Veronica Roth, and one of the reasons I'm super grateful for that is because I really love Divergent. The trilogy in itself, I didn't read 4. Like, I don't care about someone else's perspective. I don't even know if I like 4. They kind of made him really whiny in the book. So I don't know. But what I do love is Veronica Roth and how she doesn't fit her story in the, what's the word I'm looking for? She doesn't fit it into the box that you assume that it is going to be in. She does different things within it that I really like. And I've also read The Chosen One by her, which I really enjoyed. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And she recently came out with a book called Poster Girl, which I'm really excited to read. I haven't read her Carve the Mark series yet, but I want to do that as well. Another book that he got is Graceling by Kristen Kashore, who also has, so in Graceling, the main character has magic, but she doesn't tell other people about it. She has to hide it because if other people knew about her magic, then there'd be a lot of issues. And she ends up meeting with and falling in love with someone else who also has magic, but she didn't know that he had magic either. And they end up rescuing a girl named Bitterblue. And another one of the books is also called Bitterblue, and I have not read that yet, but I did buy it after I got Graceling because Bitterblue was my favorite character in the book Graceling. Like, she's a very interesting little girl, and I'm very excited about what she ends up doing. So I haven't read that yet entirely. I haven't read the whole series, but I'm excited about that. Actually, a lot of these I haven't read the whole series of. So another one that he got was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And the Red Queen was actually really good. It's about also dystopian. There's people that have powers and people that don't. But it's based on blood, like how they bleed. So there's silver-blooded and red-blooded, if I remember correctly. And she bleeds red, but she has powers. And so it's kind of a mystery, like no one understands what's going on. And she ends up finding out that there are more people like her there. And she also has like a love triangle between the two princes, which I don't love. I don't love triangles. Another book that is also a series is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I don't know if I said that right. Shatter Me was really good. Also another love triangle. Also another young adult book. It has a lot of things going on because the main character is so powerful. And I know there's like a million other books that go with it. And I've heard that if you read all of them, they're actually very good. I don't know if I want to invest that much into this story. It's not like a 5 out of 5 for me, so it's not like other series where I'm like, no, I must read everything that's going on. So, we'll see about that. The next 3 books are books that I read that are nonfiction, and I read them because of my husband. So the first one is Black Coffee Blues by Henry Rollins. And I don't think he meant to get me into this, but he was watching an interview of Henry Rollins, like someone was interviewing Henry Rollins, yeah. And he just seemed like a really fucking interesting person, like kind of balls to the wall. Let's do it. We only live once. So I was really excited to read one of his books, and I love coffee, so why wouldn't Black Coffee Blues be the one that I read? He has written like probably 5 books. I don't even know how I got through Black Coffee Blues. It was a much more dark version. Like not the first, but like the middle 140 pages are just about different ways people die. And a lot of them are like horrible, shitty deaths. They're very sudden deaths. Like a lot of them are with guns. And I didn't expect that. And I finished it, and I'm proud of myself for getting through that because I wanted to see what else he had to offer, and it wasn't worth it. But maybe some of his other books will be good someday. If I read them, like I know he has more. Maybe I'll try to read one at one point. Knowing what an amazing person he was in the interview, I wasn't ready for the realism and negativity that is death that he brought about in that book. The next book is The Storyteller by Dave Grohl, which I've talked about multiple times, but it is so good. It made me laugh. It made me cry. Dave Grohl is the singer for Foo Fighters. He's like the lead guy. And he also played instrumentals for Nirvana. So, he talks a lot about grief. He talks about fun times he had with bands and other people. He talks about his family. And it's a really like feel good book. And so those aren't books that my husband got me, but they're books that I read by people based on what he has shown, like who he likes. And the third book for that is Go Eat a Peach, or Eat a Peach, by David Chang, who is a chef that on Netflix, I think Netflix, he has a series called Ugly Delicious, which is amazing. Each episode he takes something and he talks about the origins of that thing and how we got it. And he also talks a lot about what it was like growing up in a Korean household where his friends always said that his house stank because of what his mom cooked, but how delicious it was, and really learning to love through food. So in his book, he talks about opening up his first restaurants, and how he wants people to, like, essentially one of the things he talks about is how Italian food is made with noodles and ramen is made with noodles, but people expect ramen to be super cheap, even though everything that goes into it is more intensive. Not all the time, but generally more intensive, or the same amount of intensity with broths and everything that you're making. When they go into stuff like that, it is similar and the same price. David Chang is an amazing, amazing man, and I love everything that he's put out. I love how just incredibly real he is, but he's really out there to change the way people view food and community and Korean food in general, and just he wants to expand your knowledge about something that he loves so much. And so it's really incredible, and I really liked the book, and I really like everything he does on Netflix. So those are some of the books that my husband has gotten me into by buying them for me, or buying them with me, or liking people that ended up coming out with books and I want to check that out. So those are good. And then a few books that are on my to be read for the end of the year because of my husband are The Hot Zone, which is a book that he read and he doesn't read. So it's a book that he read in high school that he says he loves and I need to check out. Another one is The Inheritance Games, which is another young adult book that I know is like a trilogy. And I think the third one came out this year, so I'm going to give that a try. I really love to wait until all the books come out so that I can read them back to back. I don't like waiting for books because that's just who I am. So I'm excited to try this one out now that I know all three of them are there. He got this for me for Christmas, I want to say last year, maybe my birthday, but I have been waiting until all of them were out to read that. And then the last one is on my did not finish, that I'm planning on finishing in December. I'm going to do a bunch of do not finish books. So this is Hiddensee, which is a tale of the Nutcracker. And I don't really know what the Nutcracker is about. I got 75 pages into this. The main character essentially is probably the Rat King. That's pretty much what I know about the Nutcracker. And he's not a lovable character. So it's really hard to like this book. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. So those are some books that my husband has gotten me, or that I've gotten into because of my husband, because it's his birthday, so we're celebrating that. Thank you so much for talking with me, listening to what I have to say, I guess. This is Love Your Shelf. I'm Tracy. I hope you guys have a great day. Please like or subscribe if you like this video. Namaste.